Why is there a teacher shortage? Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is from Learning Policy Institute. And the first two paragraphs just kind of tell you how they track it, what's the state of teacher shortages. So I have the article linked in the description if you want to read the full article for yourself. I'm going to go over the highlights. What are the root causes of teacher shortages? They stem from two main factors: fewer people entering the profession and high rates of teachers leaving. Teacher pipeline. Interest in teaching among high school and college students is at the lowest level it has been in decades. So that means less and less people are getting into teaching. Teacher attrition, that means keeping teachers, comprises of 90% of annual teacher demand and drives many shortages we see today. Less than 1/5 of teachers leaving their profession are retiring. Other teachers cite reasons like pursuing other careers, needing a higher salary, and dissatisfaction with teaching or their specific position. So, teachers aren't even making it to retirement, which means fewer and fewer veteran teachers who have a lot of experience. Which subjects have the most widespread shortages? Every state and the District of Columbia reported shortages in more than one teaching area. Shortages ranged from general elementary teachers to those in career and technical education in secondary schools. I imagine one of the reasons for the career and technical is that you still have to get the teacher certification. If they could just hire you in that field, it might make it easier. But states most commonly reported shortage areas in special education, not surprising at all, 45 states, science, 41 states, and math, 40 states. Collectively, 48 states reported shortages in at least one of these three teaching areas. Areas that have had shortages since at least 1990, when the Department of Education began collecting data. So, almost all the states there. The numbers of shortage positions were deepest in special education, elementary education, language arts, and career and technical education. These teaching areas account for the highest number of teaching shortages nationwide, as measured by the number of positions that are vacant, filled by temporary certified teachers or filled by out-of-field teachers. Okay, so that surprises me that English is on the list, but everything's on the list. Language arts, because there's usually it's usually math and science. But how do teacher shortages impact students and school districts? Persistent teacher shortages affects all types of districts, from rural to urban, and all states, small to large. Shortages have particularly negative consequences for, not surprising, student learning. When districts and schools face shortages, they often hire underprepared teachers or those not fully certified for their assignments, staff classrooms with substitute teachers, increase class sizes, cancel courses, and add responsibilities to existing teachers. All these things undermine student achievement. My daughter had a long-term sub for her biology class in high school. And, it's hard when you have someone teaching biology who doesn't know the subject. That kind of things happens. Student from lower income backgrounds and student of colors, these students often have most limited access to certified and experienced teachers and are disproportionately impacted by teacher shortages. Schools with the highest concentrations of students of colors are 4 times as likely to employ an uncertified teacher compared to schools with the lower concentrations. Okay, so I want to say something about this. Low income and student of color. So first of all, a lot of people are arguing against vouchers because they say it's going to impact the lower income students the most. This article is saying that in the public school, the lower income schools are already impacted. They get less state tax dollars coming to them. All right, let's go back to the article. But if you disagree with me, that's okay. Just respectfully tell me in the comments why. District budgets, teacher shortages are primarily driven by teachers leaving the classroom and profession. So completely leaving the profession, harming not only student achievement, but also district finances. Districts incur costs that total between $12,000 and $25,000 for every teacher who leaves, depending on the district size. These include costs to separate from teachers who leave, as well as costs to recruit, hire, and onboard teachers. That's in any profession. It is so much cheaper to keep who you have than to hire and find new people. Rural districts are particularly impacted by teacher shortages, which can be a result of smaller tax bases that prevent rural districts from offering competitive salaries. That's true. Less people, like I was talking about, less taxpayers paying into the pot. Greater distance from education preparation programs, right? Like less colleges nearby, in other words, and difficulty in filling vacancies that can result in higher reliance of out-of-field teachers. I would imagine in a big city, I know a lot of districts, my district included, they will recruit from all different places. I was recruited into a alternative teaching program, but they also recruit from overseas. Now, someone coming from overseas wanting to live in America, they're going to want to live near a bigger city. They're not going to want to live in the rural areas. What can policymakers do to end teacher shortages? Local, state, and federal education leaders and policymakers all play important roles in reducing pervasive teacher shortages. So here are the following strategies. Invest in high-quality, widely accessible, financially supported pathways into teaching. Teachers who receive affordable, high-quality, comprehensive preparation, such as that offered by teacher residencies, tend to stay in teaching longer and more effective. This is true. My district and a lot of districts are starting to do this. My district paid for half of my schooling, but they have these teacher residency programs. There's also programs where they let you shadow a teacher for 2 years while they pay you a teacher salary and pay for your schooling. Anyways, I will leave it at the end, but there's a video I did called Get a Teaching Degree for Free or Discounted, and I give all kinds of ways that you can do that. Provide beginning teachers with mentoring and induction support. New teachers who are mentored and well supported become effective sooner and stay in teaching longer than those who lack mentoring and support. So true. I had an amazing mentor my first year doing special ed preschool. She actually had worked my job and she was trying something different in teaching, but still worked at that school. So she actually spent 6 years before me doing the job, and she was amazing. She was wonderful. I did have some other issues and problems at that school, but my saving grace was a wonderful, wonderful mentor. Provide competitive compensation and improving work conditions. So true. That's true in any field. Turnover is one of the key causes of teacher shortages because most open positions are created by teachers leaving the profession before retirement. Increasing compensation, in other words, pay better, and improving working conditions, in other words, not so much work outside the classroom, positively impact recruitment and retention efforts. Strengthen data accessibility and data system infrastructure. Access to data that is consistent, accurate, transparent, timely, and routine, updated enables policymakers and stakeholders to better understand teacher shortages and devise informed policy solutions. So true. If you track how many teachers are leaving and why, that will help. And as you know, from a video on this channel I have called Why I Quit Teaching Middle School, I almost never taught again, but I did decide to try something else. So many teachers are leaving because they're not supported, they're not paid, they're treated badly by students and parents. And I kept saying, if enough teachers leave, people are going to start to listen because people criticize teachers in the news, and it's starting to happen. People are starting to listen. If you want experienced teachers, And even if you're not a teacher, you can help by supporting teachers, by not bad-mouthing teachers, by not complaining to your child's teacher about every little thing. I'm not saying don't advocate for your kid if there's a problem. Of course you should. But don't make teachers' life a living hell. You know, there are parents out there that do that. So let me know your thoughts. Are there any other reasons you can think of that wasn't in this article for teacher shortages? And I will leave some videos about how to get a teaching degree for free. Thanks for watching.